Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wellness Without Shame. Today, I would like to talk about when stress becomes pain, how the body holds on. And in particular, I want to talk about IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. And I want to talk about the different kinds of IBS and how they affect your body, but also the importance of the gut and brain connection and how important it truly is, and how sometimes, because we're not well educated on the subject, or we simply haven't experienced it before and it catches you off guard, we may not think that that connection is as important as it truly is. However, studies have found that the importance of the gut and the brain are very important in order to. So, there's different types of IBS. There is one where you experience constipation. There's another one where you experience diarrhea, and there's another one where you experience both. And along with those unfortunate symptoms, there are other symptoms like severe bloating and a lot of trapped gas, and other symptoms are experienced by different people. Um, some people get headaches, like myself. Um, and other people experience problems with keeping themselves hydrated due to the diarrhea in some cases. Um, and I am the unfortunate soul that gets to experience all three. Unfortunately for me, I've experienced all three throughout, I would say, the last 10 years or so. Um, I had a lot of responsibility as an as a young adult. I was a caregiver to my siblings, on top of um, school, college, and simply trying to live my own life and dealing with my mental health. Um, and then the struggles that you experience later on in life, the struggle of learning where you're going in life and knowing what you want to do and simply living your life, and becoming a mother, like a huge transition. And I think one of those transitions any of those transitions can be very difficult for anyone. But certainly having even one of those situations in your life can be a cause for some of those symptoms to start. For example, for me, I when I have big changes in my life, I definitely notice bigger flare-ups. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I remember really struggling um, with my IBS because I was not only experiencing a lot of bodily changes and hormonal changes, but I was also definitely experiencing a big life change. I was growing a human being inside me, and I was going to be responsible for this human being, and that is scary. And I think you can never be truly prepared to be a parent. Yes, we can read, we can observe from other good parents, we can have the best intentions, but we're human beings that make mistakes, human beings that are going to naturally be afraid that we'll do something wrong. And for me, I wanted so badly to be a good mother and to give her a good future. And it caused a lot of stress. And yeah, I experienced my IBS symptoms a lot throughout my pregnancy and after as well. There was a period where it was just really difficult to eat because I didn't know what to eat at that point. Food would make me bloat really badly and it would hurt. Um, I would, you know, kind of switch between the constipation and the diarrhea, and it became like a big, just a snowball effect that just affected me so much. Um, I had to rely on things like Miralax, which is, in my opinion, a much better alternative than some of the other laxatives. It's gentler and it's not as aggressive. However, everyone is different, and that is something to talk about with your provider. Um, this is about like what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And hopefully some of these things help you. However, everyone's body is different and it's important that we acknowledge that. But after um dealing with that, I started to really research and really like understand my condition. And with my provider's help, I um, sought the help of a dietitian, and her and I kind of came up with a plan for me to try different things. I got on the FODMAP diet, and the FODMAP diet is basically a diet where you take away certain foods that have certain sugars. And this allows your body to kind of reset itself a bit. And while you're taking these foods away, you're learning what your triggers are. It's a diet that lasts about 4 to 6 weeks. And then after that, you start reintroducing slowly some of those foods. And when you are reintroducing, you get to learn what is a trigger for you. What isn't? What kind of foods can you eat? What kind of foods can you not eat? What does your stomach tolerate better? Um, and for me, that was very helpful to talk with her and learn about that. And after I kept researching myself and read studies and figured out things on my own about how I could improve my circumstances and not just be like a victim of my own body and my own stress and not be like in constant pain. And I learned that yes, if you are stressed, if you are exhausted, if you are sleep deprived, if you are dehydrated, and I'll explain dehydration in a moment, but if you are not getting 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep, that is one of the worst things that we can do for our health. Um, and our entire body feels it. It's leads to lack of concentration, exhaustion, and yes, it leads to inflammation in your body. It leads to poor gut health. And that's why the gut and brain connection is so important because we need to understand that what we do for our body is going to greatly affect our brain as well. So, some of the things that I did to help me were, like I said, the FODMAP diet. I also simply learned to hydrate myself. I didn't know that hydration was such an important factor, but drinking water wasn't enough. And also, drinking like water in the right circumstances wasn't enough. So, yes, water is very important, but when the water is being filtered, it's also being filtered out the good minerals in the water that our body needs. And so we need to replace the good minerals that are being pulled out during the filtration process in order to truly be hydrated. One of the first things I do when I wake up every day is drink a glass of water. That has been something I've been doing lately, and I notice a difference. I notice that I am a bit less bloated, that I do feel a little bit better just throughout the day. Um, Another thing that I've introduced to my life is drinking electrolytes. Now, I am not referring to Gatorade or Liquid IV. Nothing against those brands. I simply mean I choose to find alternative sources, um, more natural sources to help me stay hydrated that I can add to my water. Um, and yeah, it's made a difference, and one that I'm really happy that I got to, um, experience and also learn about. So I would encourage you to find an electrolyte that fits your needs and your lifestyle because they're incredibly helpful and they really do make a difference and help your body stay hydrated and more energetic in a good way. Um, One of the other things that I do is I have simply learned to stay away from things that I know are not good for me. Um, I am not perfect with it, but I could say that I do a pretty good job of staying away from foods that I know will negatively impact me. Um, For example, I just stay away from fast food for the most part. I would say 98% of the time we do not buy fast food. It's just become one of those things that I know I will regret having um later on, and it's fun and it's really not worth it. And I understand that sometimes our lives are demanding and there are situations where you need to feel your body and that's what's most convenient. I understand that. And like I said, I am not perfect. But I really make an effort to not have fast food because I know my body does not tolerate it. I know I will get sick from it, and I know that I'll be complaining to my husband and I'll be saying, I shouldn't have, we shouldn't have gone out and done this and done that. And it's not fair because I had a say in it. So, um, making a point of creating alternatives, maybe food prep a bit more. And again, I know life is busy, but there are healthier alternatives that we can find at the store to help ourselves out in a pinch. Um, and so I believe that the body knows what it needs, uh, and what it wants. And I believe in the power of the body's ability to self heal, if given the right conditions. So you need to feed that gut microbiome by giving it good bacteria in things like kimchi and things like yogurt, but not flavored sugary yogurt. I'm talking, plain Greek mm, yogurt with probiotic. I'm talking about kefir, which is really good and tasty on its own. But if you make it with like some fruit, like some blueberries or some strawberries, it can taste like a delicious smoothie. And it's healthy, it's good, and you're feeding your gut good bacteria so that it has the chance to thrive again. Because unfortunately, sometimes we are not feeding our body enough good bacteria. And those are some really easy ways that you can do that. Um, so we um, believe that given the right conditions, your body can thrive. And, again, going back to massage, abdominal massage is another great way to stimulate your digestive system, to kickstart and to self regulate. It's the key basically to starting it up a little bit. And it's an easy thing to learn. And I definitely believe that if you want to learn something like that, um, we would be happy to um, make something like that available because it is such a helpful tool. And another thing that I have incorporated in my life to help with my IBS is castor oil. I put castor oil in my belly button, and I also do massage with castor oil. Um, and that combination is really helpful. I definitely have noticed less flare-ups. Um, but um, it's not it's not always perfect. Sometimes things will happen in your life and you'll have flare-ups. But the important thing is to not give up. I know it can be very frustrating. I know it can be very painful, and I know it can be very discouraging. However, remember that our bodies are incredible. They were made to be incredible. And if we take care of them in the right circumstances, everything will be fine. Remember that you are unique, and the obstacles you face will only make you stronger.